Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. It's Trevor here with you today, and I'm joined by our guest Suraj. Now Suraj is an entrepreneur, has been for many years. He's the founder of WPMaintain, which is a WordPress maintenance company. It helps multiple clients by looking at the technical parts and the development of successful WordPress sites. He's also a public speaker, and he loves helping business owners start and build successful web-based businesses. He did start off as a freelance web designer. Then that grew and became WPMaintain, and he's also in the process of launching a WordPress-flavoured podcast. Active man, isn't he? All sounds good stuff. And he's here to help us today with some of the things he's learned and some of the habits that he wants to share with regards to running a good business and scaling it up. So welcome, Suraj Sodha.
Thank you, Trevor. It's great to be here, and yeah, great introduction. I hope I can live up to that great introduction now.
Absolutely. No, it's fine. I've read your profile. I know what you can do. You're fine. Maybe to kick us off, share a little bit about your journey, I suppose, how you started off from freelancer to now, because you also had another business as well, didn't you? So
yeah,
unpack that a little bit.
Sure. Thanks, Trevor. So yeah, like you said, I started off my journey in business as a freelance web designer. But how I got there, I won't go into too much detail, but I come from a very corporate background. I was convinced that the successful path in life was to go to university, get a good degree, so that I could get a good job for the rest of my life, earn a good living, retire, and all the rest of it. And I, fully bought into that concept. It was a very cultural thing. I had no problems with it. Everyone in my family did it. My cousins did it. So I thought, well, yeah, and everyone seems happy, right, from the outside. And I thought, well, why not? So I chose a career in law, and I went to university. I studied law. Didn't love it. I wasn't bad at it, but I wasn't necessarily fully in love with it. But I kind of got on with it and did it. Plowed my way through university. Graduated, did my postgraduate stuff. Started the process of qualifying as a solicitor here in the UK. There's two parts of it. There's a postgraduate course called the LPC, and then a 2-year training contract. And in that in-between phase, when I was kind of waiting for my training contract to start, my true passion that was always burning inside, that fire in my belly since I was a teenager, of running my own business and being my own boss. And I had some time, so I thought, let me try something on the internet in this weird gap. Not quite a gap year, but I was in between jobs, in between waiting for a training contract to start, and I was paralegaling at the time too. And I started getting back into something I was doing when I was a teenager, of building basic websites. Long before WordPress and social media, there were online website building platforms where you could go and drag and drop things and build blogs and websites. And I used to do that just for fun as a teenager. And I was that guy. I was 14, 15 years old, loved to muck around on the internet. We were very fortunate to have a computer and dial-up internet at our house when I was that age. And I kind of just got into it. I used to buy domain names with my mum's credit card and sell them online and try and build websites on them. So I kind of had this fire in my belly that I always wanted to do something on the internet. And now, I guess 12 years later, the whole legal career was a bit of a distraction. But at the time, I was fully committed to qualifying as a lawyer and having that as a corporate career. Like I said, I didn't love it, but I was good at it. Turned up to work every day, did the whole 9 to 5. But there was this period of my life, maybe I was 21, 22, and I had a bit of time on my hands. So I started just doing websites for myself and for friends and people who were talking about it. So I guess that's how I started my freelancing, and they obviously recommended me to someone else and so on and so forth. And before you know it, I had clients paying me money, and I had like an inquiry list of saying, well, can you speak to us next when your next project is finished? Can you speak to us? Can you do this for our website? And I was like, wow, I better finish all of these jobs before I start my actual 9 to 5 in the law firm. As you may allude, that 9 to 5 never started, and the freelance kicked off big time. And I ended up with loads of clients and the confidence to kind of keep pushing back my legal career. And convince my parents and my family that I was going to go back to it, but let me just try this. Let's see if it works. Who knows? And it really did work. I was able to grow my freelance business substantially. I then ended up buying a franchise to grow it further and sit on an existing brand. Fast forward a few more years, I now had done hundreds of websites for clients all over the UK. And slowly but surely, they started coming back to me to say, hey, do you remember me? You did my website last year. Something's gone wrong with it. Or I need to update something. My logo's changed and my phone number's changed. Or I need to add a blog. And I know you showed me how to do it, but I've forgotten now. And I was like, sure. All right, Trevor. Well, look, I really liked working with you. So just send me the logo. I'll just do it for you. I can't remember your logins. So send me your logins. I'll just do it for you. And then you'd say, oh, whilst you're at it, can you just update my address as well? Or I've taken on a team member. Can you just add their photo to the about page? Now you extrapolate that with 200 people I've done websites for, all suddenly starting to come back with updates and things that are popping up in their WordPress sites, updates available, and a plugin needs updating, or there's something gone wrong with it as normal WordPress sites, evolve and updates are needed. I started getting swamped with old customers coming back to ask for help. And I thought, I can't juggle this, and I certainly can't carry on doing this for free. So I decided to create a very small subscription model. I said, if you pay me £50 a month, I'll do these minor updates for you within a couple of days, and I can have like a queue system. So you just send me an email, I'll add it to my task list, and I'll get it done for you. If it's a blog or a phone number change, a simple routine maintenance, nothing. These people didn't want a new website. They just wanted something simple done on their site to evolve it over time, but they didn't know how to do it themselves, or they didn't have time to do it. So they really got the concept of, do what you're good at and outsource the rest. Unfortunately, they were outsourcing it to me for free. So I had to figure out how to make this viable. Otherwise, I wasn't earning any money anymore. So one client said, okay, sure, I'll pay you 50 quid a month and do my updates for me. If there's an update available, I'll just send it to you. Sure. One turned into two, and two turned into four turned into 8. Eventually, we have over 300 customers paying a monthly subscription fee between £50 and £100 a month for different levels of service. And that's how WPMaintain, a WordPress maintenance agency, was created off the back of the problem I was having from old customers coming back to me, which is a great problem to have.
Absolutely.
Fast forward a few years, that became the sole focus of the business. I stopped doing. I hired a team. I built teams around me. We stopped doing website building. We still can do it, but we're very much live by one of our core values, which is expertise, which basically means focus on one thing or do one thing and do it really, really well. So we focus our efforts on working with other freelance web designers, other agencies, other developers who built beautiful websites better than we could, and said, well, actually, we're better than you at doing the aftercare. We'll do the updates, the management, the content changes, because most agencies and most web designers want to move on to the next project. It's like I used to, and that's great. It's a great model to have, but it stopped working for me. So we then shifted pivoted the whole focus to being aftercare only. That to be fair, it took a few years to get to that stage, and in the meantime, I launched another business, a graphic design agency, to supplement and complement the aftercare we were doing for people's websites. Because naturally, if you'd say, can you upload this blog for me, or can you add a new page for me on my website, there might be some graphic design elements needed for that, and that was out of our scope. So I launched a new business, which recently got acquired by Design Pickle in the US. I don't know if anyone's heard of Design Pickle, but it's one of the world's best flat rate graphic design services, and it was a great way to enhance our customers' service, and they all moved across as well. But I still have WPMaintain as my original business, and I have a great team that run it for me whilst I work with Design Pickle and help them to grow across here in Europe and the UK as well.
Wow, it's a really good. It shows the breadth of sort of knowledge, skills, and experience that you've got across the whole kind of web development side of it. Because some people are very good just technically, but they don't see the bigger picture. Whereas if you've originally, set up websites, and then the needs of design changes and things like that. You've got a very holistic view of the whole kind of industry, which is really good.
Yeah, and that really helps, Trevor.
Yeah.
Being a freelancer and working directly with clients, building their sites, seeing what they needed, seeing what their problems were, and we essentially just packaged all of those problems up into a monthly subscription solution. So from a business model point of view, it's very cash flow friendly, and cash flow positive, because you're not having to go from job to job to job
Yeah.
as a typical freelancer normally does. If we lose 10 clients all of a sudden, which we lost a handful over the last year because of the COVID pandemic and problems our customers were having, it didn't seem like such a dramatic hit to the business, because our business model was able to take that impact. And I think, I know you haven't asked the question, but my first real lesson from this whole thing has been to rely on a recurring business model, as opposed to a lot of freelancers in our industry who suffered a lot over the last year because their one-off projects just dried up overnight.
Yeah.
So, and that's not just in web design. I'm sure so many other sectors and industries. Of course, we all know about how hard the hospitality sector got hit this past 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
And the businesses that thrived beyond belief during COVID, and I say that with the most respect of COVID. My dad died of COVID 2 months ago, so I say that with not COVID was a blessing or anything like that at all, and with respect to the millions of people around the world who suffered from it and died from COVID. But for some businesses, COVID was the best thing that happened to them, especially for subscription businesses. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but if you just think about things like Netflix and Disney Plus and online fitness apps,
Yeah.
If it wasn't for COVID, they wouldn't have been so successful. So again, that lends to my lesson that a subscription model makes it easy for you as a business owner to weather the storm, but also for us as customers and consumers to access services.
Absolutely.
I would never pay thousands of pounds for a Netflix subscription, but I'd pay £10 a month for 5 years, which probably works out the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just makes it so much more accessible. And similarly, in the web design, web development space, it's a gray area. Small businesses are scared that they don't want to spend thousands of pounds a year on it. But if you break it down in a subscription, they ultimately get the service, but it's much more digestible and affordable way to do it.
Yeah, it spreads the cost, doesn't it? Along with if there are small businesses and they're relying on invoices being paid their side to get money in, it makes it a lot easier all round, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So just on that, before I want to dig into a little bit more of some of the habits that you have, because you've started multiple businesses. So I'm sure you've learned some things on the way which we can all benefit from. But just on when you were first starting with that, what were some of the things that you thought about and did research to get to that monthly subscription sort of model that some of our listeners are probably going, yeah, I don't know why I'm not doing that. I need to start doing that. But what would be a couple of the things to consider in migrating to that? You kind of mentioned, I guess, have a lower monthly fee. Don't sort of go too high and price yourself out so it's not affordable for the clients. But how would you sort of work out what a good fee would be?
I think there's no magic answer, and I didn't create this business model. I just, like most good businesses, was very heavily inspired by other businesses doing similar sorts of things. So, all credit to those who came before me in this space, who sold their businesses for millions of pounds and dollars over the years and grew their businesses even bigger than what WP Maintain is today. And for me, WP Maintain was always a lifestyle business. I never wanted it to make millions or exit for millions of pounds. It was always that six-figure mark was my lifestyle requirements from when I was a graduate. I always said, that's my goal in life, that's my ambition. And so I built the business around that sort of ambition. But the way I sort of priced it up was, first and foremost, I just spoke to my customers. I said, I don't know how often you're going to message me every month. You might message me once a day, you might message me once a month, I don't know. But what would you reasonably pay if I was to take care of your updates on your website? update a blog for you every now and then. If something's not quite right, I can look into it for you. And I just surveyed my customers, not in any formal way, just, spoke on the phone with them. And as a freelancer, you're often friends with your customers as well because you work with them. I said, look, I remember there was one customer, her name was Amy. And I said, Amy, I'm thinking about this. You are one of these people that has come back to me after a couple of years with more updates to the website because her business had evolved since I did the website. And she goes, I think £50 a month is reasonable. And enough people said that sort of range. And I didn't overthink it. I didn't try and do any, crazy scientific calculations or, formulas or anything too clever. I said, all right, £50 a month it is. And that's how I started. Really simplified it. There was nothing more complex than that. And I don't take credit for thinking about anything more complex than that. But what I did do from the back of that is take that amount and then kind of work backwards to say, well, what's reasonable to expect of someone with my experience and my skills for £50 a month? And if they're expecting a new website every month, is that reasonable? Probably not. Is that valuable for me? Does that value my time, or does it devalue my time? I also thought about, out of that £50 a month, what were my costs going to be? So first and foremost, would I need to host the website? I'd take a chunk out of that. Would I have a team or a developer or a freelancer on my team who would essentially be doing the work, and I would take a percentage of that out of every client to pay him or her? So that's really how I started working backwards. I didn't think of the price. My customers told me that's what they wanted to pay. So I said, okay, well, if that's what you want to pay, that's what you'll pay. And at the time, I didn't know if that was good value or bad value for me or them, but it kind of stuck. So really no rocket science to it whatsoever, and nothing too cleverly business strategy at all. It was just from a bunch of phone calls, which I guess you could call, surveying your clients and asking your audience what a service is valued to them. One of the things I did adopt very early on, not so much a habit, but I read a book early in my business career called The Go-Giver by Bob Berg, and the book talks about these 5 laws of stratospheric success. If you apply these in your business, you'll have stratospheric success. So I went about trying to apply these 5 laws in my business, and I won't go through each of them, but I first of all highly recommend the book. It's a great book. But one of the laws was always give more in value than you take in payment. So rather than me saying, right, I'm charging £50 a month for a service, I need to make sure I only give you, £40 worth of value so I can skim the £10 as my profit. Or if you're giving me £50 a month, I will give you £50 of value. Or that sounds like a fair exchange. And in a regular conversation, that sounds fair, right? If you give me £50, I will give you a £50 product back. But the book suggests if someone's paying you £50, it doesn't say £50, but the concept applies. And the way I applied it was, if someone's paying me £50, let me try and give them £100 worth of value back. Now, the good thing about value is it's intangible, it's perception. Now, to you, and we'll use you as an example, Trevor, if you are a 20-year experienced web developer, £50 a month for me to upload your blog post is not very valuable. It's worth about that. Whereas if you are, not a technical person or a web savvy person, and you're, let's say, someone who makes cakes and runs a bakery, makes beautiful cakes and cupcakes from home. We have lots of clients like that. With all due respect to them, they haven't got a clue, many of them, how to update the website. So £50 a month to them is worth a lot more than £50 a month to the 20-year experienced web developer. So that's how I kind of started thinking about it. That how do I give you more value than you're paying me, and not to limit the service by saying, well, you're only allowed to contact me once a month, and I'm only going to respond to your email once a month. I said no. The best way to give more value than you take in payment is not put limits on things. So our customers can email us for unlimited changes to their website, as long as it's all content changes. We don't do development work on a monthly basis. That's like a project basis. But if you have 1 blog a month, or 10 blogs a month, or 20 blogs a month, or 10 products to change on your e-commerce website, we'll do it for you, no questions asked. Slightly different fees, obviously, for e-commerce websites because they're a bit more complex. But generally speaking, there's no limits. And that's how we were able to always ensure we're giving more value in service than we were taking in payment. From a business strategy, it makes it a no-brainer, complete no from a customer's point of view.
Yeah.
From our point of view, we can put things in place to protect ourselves from abuse, and someone sending 400 blog posts a month. And there's ways to protect yourself like that as well. But in general, that was the first thing I did when it came to pricing. I didn't think, how can I make the most money out of these customers? No, it was, all right, you want to pay £50 a month? That's what the market tells me. Fine. It's my job to then over deliver in value. And some of those customers from 7-8 years ago are still paying customers today. I believe, or I'd like to believe, purely for that reason, that every month they get more than their £50 a month in value,
Yeah.
whether or not they use us proactively or not, reactively and behind the scenes, it's worth more than £50 a month for their peace of mind that their website is being looked after by experts, it's backed up, it's secure, all of the right things are happening, and their customers can use their website and buy from them with peace of mind.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's like a safety net, isn't it? I don't need to worry about that because Suraj is looking after it. That in itself, if they're particularly generating money directly from the website, then it's a no-brainer, isn't it? It's just a drop in the ocean, really.
Especially for a growing business who values their website and makes sales from the website.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was two things keep coming back to mind as I'm listening to your story, your journey, really. I think part of it is your attitude, your approach is really good because you're looking for the win-win, not the how can I do the least amount of work and still get the same amount of money. It's just like people don't work with people like that for very long, do they?
No.
But also, I think part of what feeds that is the momentum, and it's the relationship and the momentum together. So it's we like Suraj. He knows what he's doing. He's not gonna, con us really. He provides the service that we need. We can focus on making our cakes or whatever, and we know that if we've got any issues, you guys are there to step in. And that's the whole thing, isn't it? About leveraging other people's services and talents. Like you say, it's like if I was making cakes and I had to try and learn how to do a WordPress update and look at some strange error code that's come up, which means the site's down. It's like if I lose a day of business trying to do that, that's much more than the monthly subscription or whatever. And just the stress, you're also letting down customers if they're trying to access your site, and lots of different reasons, isn't there? So
exactly.
Makes perfect sense. It really does. So let's touch on mindset. We've got a little bit more of the conversation to go, and there's loads more that I could chat to you about, I know, from that. But how would you say, or what would be certain elements of the way that you approach looking after your focus? You've said, be really good at one thing and keep the focus on there. But how do you keep a healthy mindset so that you can still grow your business, and then you also started another business, which has then done really well, and you're building relationships and you're having long-term clients? What would you say? I know there'd be lots of different factors that interlink, but just a couple that maybe at the top of your head that you think, without these, I know things would really go pear-shaped.
I think I have to emphasize what I said earlier as the main, I wouldn't really call it a habit, but a mindset sort of focus that really focus on your strengths and play to your strengths. Just because someone out there is making money, good money selling light bulbs, doesn't mean you have to go out and also sell light bulbs if you know nothing about light bulbs or electricity or energy saving. And I see that so much in business, where someone's shared something on social media that they make good money from and a good living from, and that's great. And someone sees it and says, "Oh, I saw Trevor makes a really good income from doing so and so, so it must be a good business. So I'm going to go and do something similar." Chances are, of course, you could get lucky, but chances are you'll either get bored very quickly, or you just won't know how to advance it to make the same amount of money and have the same amount of success that you've had doing what you do. And that's really where it comes from into this whole concept of focus on one thing, and do that one thing really, really well. We've baked that into our core values, which is why when people come to us and say, "Hey, I have heard about you guys, and I really like the concept. I really like the price. I've got a Shopify website. It's all yours. Like, you don't even need to sell me. Just tell me where to sign. Send me your payment link. I'll just get it up to date. I don't even need you to convince me. I just want to use you. But say, really sorry, we don't do that, and we can't take you on as a customer. But here's so and so who can help you. So we have partners and agency partners who we refer on to. Same for SEO, same for social media, same for like Google ads and Facebook ads management. Like, we do all of these things because it comes as part of the territory of website management and building websites. It's within our expertise, but it loses focus. And I've never wanted or believed in like an all service digital agency. Like, how can you be good at everything?
Yeah.
Forget as a business, as a human being. I say this with humility. Like, I'm not good at everything in my life. I'm just not good at cooking. Let's put that straight out there. I don't cook that great. I'm the easiest thing. If you need to send me a really easy recipe to follow, and I'll get by. But anything more creative than something simple, you're not going to get much success with me. So I play to my strengths, and I don't try and be everything to everyone. And in business, I think it's the same thing. You can't be good at everything, even if you have people working in your business for these things. You can't be known for everything. You can't be good at everything. So potentially the risk there is you end up being a little bit good at lots of things.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is you're also a little bit rubbish at a lot of things. So you don't get it's harder to succeed at anything because you're a master of nothing. So it's like that saying, right? A jack of all trades and master of none. So I thought, well, let's be a master of one and focus on WordPress maintenance, not Shopify, not general website maintenance, just WordPress. There's enough to go around in the marketplace that have WordPress websites. 80 million websites around the world, 40% market share of WordPress on the internet of business websites. And I thought, well, it's easier, and it will be easier to grow a business targeting a specific audience. That way, we knew exactly who our audience was, who our target customer was, what language we should speak in, what events, exhibitions, podcasts, blogs we should write on and share content to. Again, otherwise, it's so easy to try and please everyone. So I guess that the overall lesson from that is don't try and please everyone, and really focus on your strengths and double down on your strengths. There was one thing I heard at a marketing seminar I went to years and years ago, and I wish I could remember the speaker who said this so I can credit them, but I've used this saying on so many podcasts and interviews over the years, and I every time I have to feel like I have to apologize to the speaker because I don't remember who said it. But he said, when you're focusing on a niche and you're building a business in a niche, make your niche an inch wide, but a mile deep.
That's
so
good.
It's very, very narrow. It's only an inch wide. But when you look down that niche, there's a mile of deepness of customers and potential and opportunities. Whereas what a lot of people do, they think the better thing to do in a noisy, crowded marketplace in an industry like I'm in, and in most industries, even business coaching and web design or any sort of business service, is to go a mile wide but an inch deep. So you people think, well, I'm attracting people from the whole breadth of the spectrum of people looking for marketing services or business coaching services, but it's a very shallow market because they're trying to aim for too many people. So when you're looking at focus and niche and expertise, it's go an inch wide but a mile deep, or in most industries, many miles, plural, deep into that marketplace, because for most of us, that will give you a business far more lucrative than you could ever imagine.
Yeah, and you become the expert and the authority in that domain, don't you?
Without actually too much effort.
Yeah. The challenge, you're right. The challenge is the distractions, isn't it? Do we dilute our effort and our focus because we try and do several different things, or are we brave enough, I suppose, to just zero in on one thing and go, this is what I want to make work?
Yep, you're right, actually, Trevor. You have to be brave to say no, and I've been in that difficult position. Someone's come along with a decent budget. Can you build us a Shopify website, and you'll have the maintenance afterwards? And we're a big corporate, and we'll just throw some money at this. And I said, well, that one client would make, double our revenue this month. Is it tempting? You can bet it's tempting.
Yeah.
It's so tempting. Oh my God. Like the amount of times I've had to lose sleep over this and take the weekend to think, should we just do it? It's not going to do any harm to us. We've got capacity. Why not? Like, why not? But it goes totally against what my core beliefs are about expertise. And, like the problem then is, where do you draw the line? So you need bravery and discipline to say no to potential opportunities. But it gives you focus. And for that one lost opportunity, we can pick up 10 correct opportunities that fit our model, fit what we're trying to sell, and it just fits much easier rather than having to make exceptions for one client with a big budget.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in that. For everybody listening, make sure you jot that down. If you haven't already been taking notes, definitely catch that point. Focus on one specific thing. Take it as deep as you can, and resist that temptation to go too wide. There's some wisdom in that I will embrace myself as well. Which is all useful.
I think it applies in everything, Trevor. It applies whether you're doing affiliate marketing, whether you're doing, online or offline marketing, whether you're doing business coaching, whether you're doing, I don't know, anything at all. And even in the non-business world, we can apply that to our doctors in the NHS.
Yeah.
You get GPs who are the mile wide, inch deep crowd. They're great. My brother-in-law's a GP. It's a great profession, very noble profession to be in.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, who's the expert? The GP or the brain surgeon who focuses on one organ and is world renowned.
Yeah.
You don't get world renowned GPs. You get world renowned brain surgeons or cancer surgeons or heart surgeons, right?
Yeah.
You don't get world renowned, world famous general practitioners, and that's not a dig at all, not in any shape at all.
Yeah.
And speaking crudely, the brain surgeon will earn more money than the local GP. And that applies in business as well. So we see that concept of one thing and that deep focus in non-business life. So let's learn from that. Restaurants do the same thing. You typically will get a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
You'll typically get an Indian restaurant, a Mexican restaurant. You do, of course, get a world buffet where you can go and have a bit of Chinese, a bit of Indian, a bit of Mexican, and a burger as well, and fries. Sure. But what generally works better? What's the norm? It's to have a restaurant with a specific cuisine.
Yeah.
Why? Because it works better than trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
So, we can apply those lessons in business as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. And like, customers don't go to Chinese restaurant and expect Mexican food today. It's like, they're not going to sit there and complain, why want Mexican food? It's like, well,
yeah. If you go to a Chinese restaurant and you order some enchiladas, you're going to be very disappointed.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's bizarre, isn't it? Like, that sounds really obvious to us, but we don't necessarily apply the same principle when it comes to business. For whatever reason, it's just, there's just a disconnect sometimes. But no, it makes a lot of sense there. So we do need to wrap up. Tell us how, for people listening, if they've got a WordPress website and they're struggling, or they need somebody to look after it, they don't want the hassle with it, they want it developed further, either directly through yourselves or through some of your associates, what would be the best place for them to just touch base and find out more?
The best place and the easiest place is going to be at the website, which is www.wpmaintain.co.uk. And from there, you can book a call in with the team. You can just send an inquiry, or just have a browse to see what we do. And if anyone wants to connect with me personally, you can find me on the usual social platforms. It's just at Suraj Sodha. Or if you want some more non-WordPress content that I share about business, entrepreneurship, lifestyle, that sort of thing, it's just at my personal blog, which is surajsodha.com. And I do want to shout out, of course, designpickle.com as well, who acquired my design agency earlier this year, and I work with now with their US-based product and operations teams, which is an incredible business as well. So definitely check them out if you need graphic design support.
Yeah, that sounds good. It sounds like you're a very good point of contact for lots of different help and resource, either directly or through associates and, as you say, design Pickle, which is really good. And if they don't want to sign you up for recurring subscriptions, they can learn more on the blog and also the podcast. Just in closing, do we know when that's launching? How close are you to?
So we're about within the month away from launching that. It's season 1 of the podcast, and it's going to be a mixture of WordPress related content, but also stuff like this, like business strategy, business insights from other agency owners, how they built their business. Also a little bit about recruiting and the challenges we've had over the last year of managing remote teams and how to manage people's mental health working remotely, because this is a totally different world we live in. I know that's such a cliche said over the last year, but especially with small businesses, having a team, whether they're freelancers or employed by you, there's lots of things there. So those are the types of subjects I'm going to be trying to touch on this podcast.
Okay, no, that sounds really good. Thank you for coming and sharing your time with us today. I've really enjoyed the chat. I'm sure everybody listening has taken at least 2 or 3 things that resonate with where they are, things that they think, right, I need to do that. So appreciate you sharing your expertise with us. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. And for everybody listening, just as we close this episode now, make sure you're proactive about something. We always encourage you to take action with anything that the guests have shared. Why? Because otherwise it just becomes another podcast and it doesn't do you any good. You're listening to it because you want to learn and discover stuff. We consolidate learning really by putting something into action. So definitely put something into action and listen to the episode again. Share it with friends you think will be beneficial to them as well and encourage them, and then you can be accountable to one another. Anyway, that's another subject, but thank you for your time and we will catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.